Welcome, everyone. Chirping Zebras, episode 16. Mark Riley alongside Gino Binder Jr. We have a great guest tonight. Want to thank our sponsor, Referees Crease. And, of course, we're coming to you from AOA Studios here in Beverly. Best place to tape anything that you want to tape, whether it's an album or a podcast or whatever. AOA Studios right in the Cummings Center. And there's been some great hockey. We want to bring our guest right on. Our guest is the referee of the Bruins alumni. I've had the pleasure of working a game with him, alumni game. Mr. Don Garcia. Don, welcome.
Thanks for having me, boys. Appreciate it.
Very excited to have you on. The Bruins alumni is one of the more fun things you can do as a hockey ref.
No doubt. It is absolutely a blast. And it's also great to work with all these charities that we work with and raise money. So like this year, we had 29 games, and we raised just over $1 million.
That's incredible.
Well, the teams that we played, they do all the work. We just show up and play the game, right? But they raised $1 million this year, so it really helps a lot of charities, and that's really what it's all about.
And you guys traveled a lot this year too, no?
We did. We traveled not as much as we have in the past. I mean, we've traveled. We've been to Aspen, Colorado, to play the Avalanche.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, well, that was a fun weekend.
I bet.
That was a fun weekend.
No, wait a minute. Who did Ray play for? Who did Ray Bork play?
Ray couldn't play.
Oh, okay.
I actually think Hershey was in the playoffs. His kid was playing.
No kidding.
And he was there instead of coming to Aspen.
Okay.
But he probably would have played for the Bruins.
I would hope.
I would think so.
Chris was great.
I think so.
I was just telling you, like, one of my last games, working one of the Hershey games was last time working him. I said I was retiring, talking to Chris before the game. He comes in with a signed stick. And then Bika, the trainer, one of the best humans in all of hockey. Like, you need anything, that guy would, like, he was just so
on it.
Yeah, he was the best. Actually, there's a picture of him. I got a scar. I took a puck here. He's got the gauze. Like, he went right, like, he was the best.
Yeah. Well, we've got Bobby Cormier.
Yeah.
And we've got Mike Foley.
Yep.
And Frank
both great
Walker.
guys.
Yeah, but if somebody's hurt on the ice and you're doing one of these kind of things, you better hope it's not Bobby jumping over the boards because he's not going to get too much help. Right? Mike knows what he's doing, and Frank, but not Bobby.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun to be with.
Yeah, they came with a signed stick for me. The whole team signed it. Chris signed it personally. Like, that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
like,
that's
just
awesome.
to get to know him through the years. And
he played a few games with us. They both did, actually.
Yep.
He played in the Matt Lake game that I refereed with you and Doug Smith, who was a guest on our podcast before.
Funny because he skated over to me and he says, so how long were you in the league? I said, kid, have you seen me skate out here? Are you watching me? I've never refereed in the National Hockey League.
What a shot that kid had. He had a pro shot. Like, if he just had a little bit of size, and he would have lasted in the NHL.
Yeah.
But he was phenomenal to watch in the AHL. Like, he ripped it up.
Yeah. If I had a different birth certificate, I'd be in the NHL too.
Yes.
I got to take my shot when I can.
Hey, why not?
Right?
Absolutely.
Fuck Canada. I'm kidding, Canada. All right? I love you people. I do.
Now, we need to cut that because we need the views.
Yeah, I know. I'm only kidding.
We love Canada.
I'm
we don't
only
want to
kidding
get stopped
about
at the border.
All right? Yeah, I know, right? Well, we got to do a live podcast from up in Canada.
YouTube's gonna flag it.
Actually, we just had a Canadian on, Von Rohde.
Yep.
And a couple episodes ago, and one of my favorite people. So I love Canada. I was only kidding about the, your bacon's ham, but whatever. So anyway, what was hilarious, the game I did with you.
Yeah.
Was like Bob Sweeney and the guys are all like, well, it's good to have an actual ref with us today.
Yeah, real referee. Yeah.
I was like, you've been doing this forever.
Yeah, they love to give me shit, but it's all part of the game. It's like the worst is Tommy Songa. So Bomber. So they said to me when I started, I'm kind of quiet in the locker room. I don't know, and Bomber's all over me like, hey, the referee's room is down the hall.
Yeah.
And Bobby says to me, hey, look, if Bomber's picking on you, it means he likes you. I says, well, he fucking loves me because he is all over my shit. But it's great. It's great fun. And we've had a lot of, like, you have come. Gino, I don't know why we haven't had you on a game. You're busy.
I'm still nervous.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, right.
We haven't picked the thing. Like, I haven't really sat down and made something work. Honestly, like, I would love to do the one you guys do down the bog for the Blizzards.
Yep.
Because the special needs group that's down there. My
Great
daughter,
charity.
like Jim Coffey, who actually referees for us. He's there every Saturday morning. And he kind of runs it. He just ran a great thing at the Lovell Arena for him.
Yep.
And you guys play him every year.
Every year,
and do a great job.
They do an outstanding job. And I actually had one of their students as a linesman for me.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was great. It was great. He had a blast. He had an
that's
absolute
unbelievable.
blast. I says, hey, just go from this line to this line, and just make sure you stay out of the way. And I told all the guys,
Right.
the line he's a road cone, right? Go around, go around, because he couldn't skate too well,
Right.
because he just started.
Right.
When God bless him for whatever it is, a teenager.
That's
just
awesome.
Start. Oh, that's great.
We got a few kids with like autism that work, and
Yep.
yeah, they do a really good job.
They do.
And like I want to get my daughter involved in that, but every time it's a fight. So I just want to get her down there and just see it, but we'll get there eventually.
Yeah. Great program.
We got her on street hockey. That's about it right now.
So yeah, they love to rib me, and I give it right back to them.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I might not be the best referee, but I'm a great guy in the locker room. I'm a good locker room.
So
guy.
what's like kind of like the best back and forth you had, or anything like that?
Wow. Well, I love it when they shoot the puck at me. And I say, hey, you got the whole fucking rink. What are you going to shoot the puck at me for?
Hey, get the F out of the way. What are you doing, Donnie?
I'm this wide.
Charity game.
No, the best, I'm going to tell you the best, was Mike Milbury
Oh, he's funny.
at Gillette Stadium. So I did the game in 2016, the Winter Classic alumni game against Montreal. And so I actually called so there's only two penalties, two referees. It was me and Stéphane Auger. I don't know if you know
I know who that is. Yep.
Stéphane Auger. He refereed in the league.
Yep.
So he had a penalty, and I had a penalty. Well, my penalty was Donnie Sweeney. So Donald Audette's flying up the ice, and Donnie Sweeney puts a grab on him. And Audette, it's a yard sale, right? I mean, he's flying. He's gone. Boom. Penalty shot. Now the game is tied because of that penalty. It was 2-1. So that ties the game. Bruins are none too happy with me.
Oh, yeah.
Donnie is saying it was a dive, and I said, it's a fucking alumni game. We're going to call it a dive.
Embellishment.
Who's gonna dive on a breakaway?
Meanwhile, Razor's in net, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right there. And he says to me, what are you going to call that? I said, why don't we call that a penalty shot? How's that? So anyways, the story is now it's tied, goes to a overtime, goes to a shootout. So I got to go ask the coach, and the coach is Mike Milbury. Who are your three guys that you're going to have shoot? And he says, him and Tommy McVie. Tommy's great. Remember
That's
Tommy
great.
McVie?
Tommy McVie was awesome.
Going back and forth, looking, writing names and doing this and that. And so anyways, I'm like, Coach, I need the names because we're on TV. So he says, all right, Sergei Samsonov. Okay.
Yeah.
Mark Recchi. All right. And Tommy Fergus. And I look at him, and I'm looking at the bench. And you got Ray Bork, and you got all these. Tommy, and I know Fergie.
Yeah.
Tom Ferguson. And I look at him, I says, Coach, Fergie? And he says, what are you, fucking deaf? I said, no, I'm not deaf. And as I turn under my breath, it's like, I just thought we wanted to win the game today. And doesn't Fergie hit the goalie right in the pads? And the guy doing the TV, I forget who it was, says, and you could hear that shot. It was so hard. Yeah, no shit. Hit him right in the pads. So that was a good exchange. And there's a great photo that is out of me like this going, okay, that's what you want? Let's go. I guess he owed Fergie a favor or something. Fergie's involved with the Alumni Association. So
when you do work those games, do you like call penalties, or are you calling offside, you calling icing, you calling it legit, you calling it kind of...
it depends. So if it's alumni team against alumni team, which we've done quite a few. Yep. So we had that one Colorado. We've been in Tampa. And actually I did the game with Coho.
Cole's awesome.
He's great.
Best. He's the best.
So if it's alumni against alumni, it's a little more straight up.
That makes sense.
There's offsides.
Right, that makes sense.
But if it's these charity teams, the Bruins are going to play down to whatever level. And we play some really good teams and we play some really bad teams. So really the job is make the show good. Like our announcer says, the circus shows up.
He's great. Yeah, he is good. He's
awesome.
really good.
Johnny Horrigan's the best. And he can memorize a lineup
Yeah.
in literally 5 minutes.
No shit.
Numbers and names.
And background.
I'm horrible
You
with
told
names.
me that in that game, he was rattling off everything, and he had no script.
No notes.
About it. He had something to say about
Oh
everyone,
yeah, he's
including
stand.
me.
Yeah, he's stand. Yeah, he does the whole thing. Yeah.
Amazing.
No notes. He's unbelievable. So, anyways, yeah, if it's that kind of a game, it's a little more straight up. But if it's not, you let the offsides go. But if it's a competitive game, I kind of referee to the score
Okay,
because I don't want the Bruins to lose.
makes sense.
Yeah, and they're all penalty shots. Nobody goes in the box.
Right.
Although I did escort on several occasions people to the bench because they were a little, out of control. And I said, why don't you just go sit down for a few shifts? What is this, a penalty? No. It's protective custody. Just
You're in double secret
somebody's
probation.
Somebody's going to...
Double secret probation.
You just
You're
slashed
pushing too
Bruce
many
Shoebottom.
Yeah.
And he is going to destroy you.
Yeah. Go sit down.
Now you didn't. I was kind of disappointed back in the day.
Yeah.
And we're live on TikTok with our producer Josh Dolan, and we put together the Boston Comedy All-Star Hockey Team that played the Bruins back in the day, probably back in 2015ish, 2014, 15, around there.
Yep.
And actually Josh's dad refereed one of the games, and it was a lot of fun. We got killed, I think, but that's okay. We actually, at one point, I think, switched goalies. It was so bad.
Yeah.
All for the shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
My buddy Greg Murphy, who claims to be the best, the best pond hockey player to ever live, because he can't play with boards. He has no idea how to
Was he
play
the one that came
organized
to
hockey.
Tadios?
Yeah, he was at
fun-
Taddy's.
Oh, he's funny, man.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Always out on cruise ships. And but he had, like, I would have had 7 goals if he passed the puck. But he was like, I don't know how to play this game unless I'm on a pond.
You shit, you wouldn't have hit the net.
I could score back in the day. But yeah, no, it's you had a penalty shot that game. You gave the penalty shot to the kid who raised like $10,000 or something.
Yeah.
Oh,
for
that's
Matt
cool.
Light.
Yeah, it's usually
Like stuff like
the
that.
highest fundraiser, the oldest person on the team, or the guy that's on his ankles. So I had one once where the guy was literally on his ankles, and I gave him a penalty shot, but I put the puck at the top of the circle because I said he's never going to make it from the red line to the net. So I put it at the top of the circle and said, go ahead, take a penalty shot.
That's excellent.
And our goalies are great because they don't make it look obvious. They give them the goal, but they don't make it look obvious. But it's beautiful when they're standing there like it's picture day, and the guy still hits them right in the middle of the chest, right?
Of course.
That's just par for the course, I guess. So yeah, there's not a lot of penalties and not a lot of offsides, but it's all about that team has done a lot of work. Those folks have raised a lot of money.
They have, and that's a lot of time and effort.
It is.
Like, it's a commitment.
Yeah.
Those guys show up every week. There's a lot of them that don't miss. Like Mullen never misses, I bet. Like,
Yeah, Joey and his son Patrick, who plays now, who's great.
and his
and
other
they
son-
do the 3 ice.
the other
Patrick
son,
plays in 3
the other
ice.
son, Michael,
really?
referees for us.
Michael refereed the first time the last 2 games that
I
we
saw the
had.
picture of the 3 of them. Actually, yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
we had Torgy for one of the games. Pete
I
Torgerson.
love Torgy.
Yeah, Torgy does a few games with me.
I miss Torgy. He didn't come to the Frozen Four this year. His group missed it out.
Yeah, and he goes every year.
Every year, yeah, they sat it out.
Torgy's great.
Well, Quinnipiac won it the year before, so they weren't going.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
where that's the alumni there. So
Yeah.
Oh, that's where you went?
yeah, he went. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Quinnipiac.
yep.
Not one of my favorite schools.
Why
was the
do they
captain.
always get brought up in this podcast?
I don't know.
Like
I don't know.
every time it
What,
always.
No idea.
Gets brought up. He
Yeah.
was the captain at Quinnipiac.
Yeah.
No
Torgy
kidding.
was.
Yeah.
Good hockey player.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, good referee
ref.
too.
Yeah.
He's a really good referee.
Great referee. I learned
Yes.
a lot from him.
Me too. Like I always look back and reflect on like all that kind of stuff because
Yeah.
like people, Torgy, Chip McDonald, like God rest Mr. Matt Smith, like
Yep.
all those guys just kind of influenced all the time. Like Billy Doran was around, like all
Billy
these guys.
Doran, yeah.
And I just remember being at the Chowder Cups and getting lit up by these like coaches and or whatever, and they'd either like poke fun at me or then they'd give me some advice and hey kid, that's how you learn, like hard nose, or if I was out of line, they'd hey, don't be saying that. Don't be swearing. Don't be yelling.
Yeah.
You know, they guided you and made sure you were on the right track, but they did it in a hard way, but out of love, and they wanted you to fucking get better.
Right.
And these kids nowadays, we were talking about a kid on the way up, right? I don't think he's gonna figure it out because like I have two 20-year-olds. One's 21, one's 22. They're very, very. They're on a similar path, right? But like one I think has more potential than the other. But if I said both their names and asked their strengths and weaknesses, right, which one do you want to hear, right? And which one would you say you are to this kid that kind of is not really figuring it out?
Yeah.
You know, just runs his mouth, doesn't get it. And I'm like, come on, figure it out.
Yep.
Get in line. And we don't have those veterans anymore punching them in the mouths. And when the veterans do say something, it's like, why are you picking on me?
Right.
And it's like, come on, kid, figure it out, man. We're trying to help you.
Yeah.
It goes back to everyone gets a trophy.
Right.
I swear it goes back to
that's
everyone
terrible.
gets a trophy.
That's terrible. Diminishes everything.
Everything.
Everybody.
And everyone
That's
thinks
terrible.
they're entitled. Everyone thinks they can just show up.
Right. You're going to make the team no matter what.
Why do I have to be better than you if I'm getting the same trophy?
Right.
Right? So why do I have to work?
Transfers right over to life.
Oh,
And work and everything.
everything.
Right?
Big time.
Yeah.
Everything.
So like those, like reffing those type of games, I always found very hard and tough because I'm either let everything go because like if I start because then it's just like, oh, you're gonna call that offside, but you're not gonna call that one, and then you get in the pissing contest. But even though it's just for fun, it's just that back and forth, right?
Yep.
And then you're gonna pick and choose, like you said, like you have a goal in mind. Like I like that. You're gonna make sure the Bruins lose. We're gonna, call a few penalty shots and this and that. Like make it entertaining. I can deal with that. But it's those like charity games you get involved with sometimes that are like, are you really gonna call every offside? Are you really gonna call every icing? And then like you just have to do it, and then it's just like, it's like. I don't know. I hate those. And then the game's tight, and now you're calling everything,
You gotta
right?
you got to do something.
So I'm like, just like to me, like back in old days, hockey night in Boston, don't acknowledge it doesn't exist. Puck would get shot down for icing, the referee would just go and just skate right on down. Didn't even look at his partner, just went and chased the puck down, and like the defenseman knew. They went and got it, the goalie knew, went and played it. Everybody was in on it. Everybody knew we were calling icing. Because those games took forever. It was automatic icing. That puck gets shot down, you get 100 whistles.
Right. No ice outside, no ice inside.
And why?
Summer rules.
Play the puck, carry the puck, get your skills going. It's high school. Like,
Well,
why are we calling ice?
It's about ice time.
Right.
You want to play. You want to be on the ice. Like we play the pucks off the net. If it goes up, hits the netting, and comes back into play it.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to hear me blowing the whistle. Let's go.
Play on.
Yeah.
Like,
And our goalies play it all the time. They don't
yeah.
tie it up.
I mean, the reason being because of safety, because of whatever, right? Like, oh, you might look up, but there's no hitting. We're not hitting.
No,
and
there's
it's
not
like, you know
supposed
what
to
I
be.
mean? So it's like, it's not supposed to. But it's not like you're going to be looking up for a puck that's in the net and now someone's going to come smoke you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's why
It's
can't
different.
really-
It's different. And it's harder, as a matter of fact, in some
is.
instances. It's easier to do a straight-up game
Right.
by the book
Yep.
I'd rather do that. Like,
than do a charity game or a fun game where, again, you're not sure where you want to go with it, and you might have a knucklehead out there that you got to keep an eye on.
Yep.
And those are the guys that I'll skate by and talk to, or
Right.
I go to the bench and talk to them and say, hey, it's not a flag, it's a stick. Keep it down on the ice.
Exactly.
Don't be a knucklehead.
Right.
Very few of those though in these
Yeah.
charity games because again, these people raise a lot of money, they do a lot of work, and they know why they're there. Right? They're not there to win the game.
Right.
They're there to raise money for charity.
now, is it a lot of older people that usually play against them, or is it younger kids? Because I think like a lot of old people, that's got to be kind of nostalgic and pretty cool for them to be playing against like guys like their idols, they like Ray Bork, people they like grew up playing. I watch play, like that's got to be pretty cool for those guys that grew up.
It's getting younger and younger and younger, and
It is?
and we're-
Okay.
Yeah, and we have some new guys that are younger and can play, but yeah, the competition's getting a lot younger. Not necessarily more skilled,
Right.
right? So our guys are skilled. They know
the
where to
tape.
be before the puck's even there.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, it's impressive.
So it is
really is impressive.
Yeah, it
Even
is.
though it's like 2 steps slower,
Doesn't matter.
it's like on the tape. It snaps on the tape.
Correct.
Like it's actually very impressive to watch.
Yeah,
and
their
see.
skill set does not change. Like,
No.
it's just like
No.
that awesome golfer. They par every friggin' hole. They got a couple of birdies.
Yep.
It's like right down the middle. They don't
Yeah.
lose this. No,
You talked about Joey Mullen. So Joey had a goal, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. He skated through 2 guys, left them stand there, and this was a competitive game, so these guys could play. It wasn't like they were road cones. He skated through 2 guys, cut to one side of the net, came back and put a backhand opposite
Filthy,
top
yeah.
shelf, filthy goal. And I'm like, see, you never lose it.
No.
Right? Doesn't matter how old you get when you're that good.
That's like, so we talked about Cuzzy before we got on with Dougie. He trained Dougie and this and that, played with him down the coast, and he would skate shinny with us. Same thing. I don't think, like, he couldn't outskate us. We were 16, 17-year-old kids flying full of piss and vinegar, playing shinny every day, right? Yeah. He was just retired, just down there, just dicking around. Like, his hands were absolutely, you couldn't get the puck from him. And he couldn't take a stride faster than, whatever. Yeah. But he was phenomenal. He gets the vision. Like he just see you cutting, he just give the whatever or the toe drag and the stick. Yeah. The skills on those guys, they don't lose it. It's really, really kind of neat.
It's amazing. And you wonder, like, guys like Joey Mullen, guys like Nifty, right? Imagine if the technology that we have now in these sticks and the skates and stuff, right? Imagine if they had that technology back then.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do this in anything, in any sport, but hockey especially, like you think of Bobby Orr, the skates he wore. I mean, they look like some of these, right?
Dude, that's a sick, hang on, that is a sick T-shirt, by the way.
It is a nice T-shirt.
You know what?
Where do we get those?
You got to do a couple shows for CCM in their training camp. No, my friend Samantha, who works for CCM, hooked me up, and I did a couple shows last week in the afternoon. Love afternoon shows. And it was...
Afternoon hockey games are great.
Reps from all the, like Pure Hockey and TSR and the place in Island Sports, etc. All that should be sponsoring this podcast. And I told them that. But I did these shows. It was a Monday, Tuesday over in Skating Club in Boston. Talk about changing that rink back in the day.
The old Skating Club in Boston.
Skating Club in Boston.
Oh,
Remember
I used to play there every Sunday.
I played there,
Holy shit, you get hit over the boards and you'd be standing on concrete.
Yep.
Because there was no glass.
That happened to me. That actually happened to me. Yeah, I got over those boards.
Oh, no, I went over a couple times. But anyway, it was at the new one in Norwood. Beautiful. And, she gave me this T-shirt, and it's kind of cool. It's got all the skates, the old skates, and all the way up to the new skates. CCM. Been in business for 125 years. What? Yeah. And they started out as a motor cycling company.
Canadian cycling manufacturing.
Canadian cycling and motor company. Yeah, and they did bicycles. And then they moved over to hockey.
Oh, shit.
But 125 years.
Yep.
So
second row, skate in the middle.
Right here.
Yeah, George Sweeney, pipe fitter, right? I played with, the Sweeneys growing up, referee with Ryan, obviously. Yeah. So they bust their balls. They used to do the end of the year parties at the Junior Terriers. And my father was obviously the brunt of a bunch of jokes because of his height.
Right.
So
what's wrong with his height?
As he should be.
And he's the biggest ball buster, right? So George Sweeney welds pipes. And the skates are like this high, so like they're on stilts. And he welded the tube to the bottom, and like they stand up, and if you got in them, you'd kill yourself.
Yeah.
It's an absolute howl. And then one year they gave him like the baby mini skates, like those old school like mini ones.
And I could see Eugene trying to put those on one night too.
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh, I gotta bring them. They gotta be displayed here one night. Yes.
We gotta display them on the table like my helmet tonight, my Nike helmet that's
falling apart.
It is falling apart, but I'll never give it up.
Stinks. Classic.
It's bad.
Lysol.
You know what's funny is the first skate on this T-shirt I have hanging up in my office. My dad wore these.
No shit.
And they're literally like leather.
Yep.
Like there's nothing on the action. He wore them till I think he skated when he was 75 in these skates. I don't know how he did it, but very cool. And but yeah, Sam hooked me up with my shirt and the shows and CCM is a great company that should sponsor a podcast maybe about
or any company for that
Chirping
matter.
Zebras.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, we'll entertain
Super
anyone.
Tack was my first
Super
skates I ever
Tacks.
bought.
Super.
Weighed a ton.
Oh yeah,
Micron Megas. Remember those?
I wore those.
Those were the best.
Micron Mega 1090s.
You
know who wears Micron still?
Bork.
Nope. Kenny Linsman.
Come on.
Kenny Linsman.
He still wears his Microns.
You know what?
Yeah.
I
All
know.
plastic.
I knew one of the because I saw them. I was like, those skates are unbelievable. Those are my favorite skates. Yeah. And when they stopped making them, I was like, I couldn't find a skate that I liked for a long time.
I wore them in college, and then my foot, the toe cap was too narrow, and that's why I switched out of them. But the new ones are unbelievable. It's like putting Uggs on.
I like the
They're
Reeboks.
so comfortable. Reeboks are good too.
Yeah. My boy Catalano.
Hooking you up. Well, we'll entertain any sponsor that wants to. If you're out there on TikTok
Reebok,
right
Bauer,
now,
Nike, whatever.
anyone. We'll take anyone. We'll even we'll entertain anything. All right, enough groveling. Pathetic. So before
It's not actually groveling. It's
just begging.
no.
You call it what you want.
Yeah.
I'm throwing it out to the universe.
Right on.
And seeing if it'll respond. The internet universe. Before the Bruins alumni,
Yeah.
what's your story? Because I've never even heard where you kind of came from. Which sounds fun. I don't mean like,
So
What a question.
I didn't
Where'd you
word that
come from?
correctly. That was not worded correctly.
well, Mom's been gone a while now. So I didn't skate as a kid because, as I said, my background, my family is all from Cuba. I'm the first generation American. So
Which
we
is
didn't-
cool, by the way.
Yeah,
You're
it
the
is
first
cool.
Cuban ever to be on this podcast.
Well, thank you. I'll probably be the last.
Might
as
be the
well.
last.
Yeah.
Although I got a phone call into Castro, and
Raul, because
Raul.
Fidel's dead.
No, not Fidel. I wouldn't have him on.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So I didn't play. Couldn't afford skates or anything like that. Never played. Now I start, but I always loved hockey. Grew up in Waltham. Learned how to speak English in school, in kindergarten.
No shit.
Everybody in my house spoke Spanish. So I grew up with a bunch of French Canadians in Waltham, and they're all hockey fans, right? And so that's why I got the little A every now and again. I'll throw an A in there. So I've always loved hockey, been passionate about the game, loved the game. And when I had enough money to buy skates, I bought skates. So I'm like, I want to say 19 years old, 20 years old. I buy a pair of skates, and I go to, public skating and try to teach myself how to skate. And then my buddies would play pickup. No referees, no nothing, just pickup. So I started doing that. And of course, they would use me for boarding practice because I'm standing on the boards, I can't move. And they just, bang! Hey, it's a no-check game. No, that's all right, Donnie. It's all right. You'll be all right.
There's no out of bounds in hockey.
Yeah, there's no out of bounds. There's a reason they lock the door behind you, right? So I kind of taught myself how to skate. Great. Now I'm playing men's league, which to me is now organized. They actually have a referee. And so I started doing that. And the referees sucked.
oh yeah,
Terrible. Mail it in, just sucked. And then you're paying to play, and the cost was a little high. So a bunch of us who played, because I played 3-4 times a week, not very good, said, let's start our own league. We don't need these guys. We have enough guys that we know that we can put 4 teams together. We'll rent ice in Auburn at Lake Ave, and we'll do it ourselves. So we couldn't afford referees. So what we would do is we'd play at 9 and 10, or 10, 9:30, 10:30. So we needed volunteers to referee one of the games. So you'd play at 9, you'd take your sweater off, and then you'd be the referee. So the guy without a sweater is the
drop the
referee.
puck. Yeah,
Still with my
that's
hockey
outstanding.
pants and everything. So I volunteered. I said, well, shit, why not? Love the game. Let me do it. So I did that. Loved it. Don't have to sit on the bench. One shift, the whole game. Up and down, up and down, up and down.
line
I'm
change.
young. I can go. And it's good exercise and not getting paid for it. Loved it. Okay, fast forward. Now I'm thinking, well, shit, people actually get paid to do this. So I started doing games and getting paid, USA certification, all that kind of stuff. So one night I'm doing a game. I think it was in Auburn, 10 o'clock at night, but I'm looking sharp. Everything is right. Everything is square. I'm
White
there
laces.
early, white laces. I'm there early. I'm on the ice, and I'm skating this thing by myself like it's the 7th game of the Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
They're paying me to do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it right.
yep.
And the guys appreciated that. I let them play, but, So anyways, there's one person in the stands, because it's 10 o'clock at night in Auburn. Well, the one person in the stands was Paul Stewart.
No way.
Yep.
So Stewie comes down and says, you should work for me. And I said, work for you? He said, yeah. Now, I know who Stewie is. I don't know what league he's talking about. Well, he's talking about the ECAC.
Right.
Division I college hockey. I'm like, I can't do that. Because at the time, since I was about 18, I had this business that I started sweeping the floors. I ended up owning it and selling it and retiring from it. But I had to build it. So I didn't really have time. And I knew I didn't have the skill either. I just couldn't do it. But again, long story short, Stewie and I became friends after that. And he asked me, to come to some college games. And I went. And then I had Bruins tickets. So he would come with me to the Bruins games. And we would talk about the game from the view of a referee. So I learned a lot from him.
Love picking his brain. It's the best.
Unbelievable.
Episode 2, if you haven't seen it.
Yep.
Incredible episode, by the way.
Oh,
and
cool.
he is one of a kind. And he's my
He joked about that Friday, actually. He goes, he didn't talk once. I just went.
Yeah. Best bud. My best bud.
Yeah.
So we're going to games at the Garden, and we're friends and this and that. And I'm still doing these men's league games. And I said, Stu, it'd be great if I could referee a game with you someday. And he said, yeah, we'll see. So we're at a Bruins game. He says, hey, I got to go upstairs to the alumni box and talk to Rick Middleton. So why don't you come with me? Okay. So we go up, and he's talking to Nifty, and they're back and forth. And Nifty says, so you probably need another guy, right? He says, yeah, Donnie will do it. I don't know what they're talking about. We go back to the seats. I said, what was that? He says, yeah, you're going to referee a game with me. I said, oh, yeah, really? Where? When? He says, New Year's Eve, Fenway Park, the Winter Classic. 2010 Winter Classic.
That's how Stewie rolls, man. He's so awesome.
Just puts me,
unbelievable.
Puts me in. So I'm thinking,
That was your first game?
That was my first alumni game.
Holy shit. Fenway Park?
Fenway Park, outdoors. Now, I grew up playing baseball. My dad was a huge Red Sox fan.
Yeah.
Fucking unbelievable.
I walk in the story's there. How much time do I have?
You're rolling.
Whatever you want to go till.
So I had the business, and I'm doing pretty well. So I said, hey, Stu, this is like a once-in-a-lifetime, right? I rented a suite for his wife, his kids, my wife, my son, some of the staff from
That's
the
how
Bruins.
you do it, yeah.
And I got a limo, a stretch limo. Went and picked him up, picked me up.
Love that.
Went to the game, limo waited outside. So anyways, we go in the clubhouse. The Red Sox clubhouse is where we're going to get dressed. I'm like, holy shit. So it's Kevin Collins, Paul Stewart, and myself. It was supposed to be me and Stewie. And Stewie had a conflict, and he couldn't do it. And he said, no, you go ahead and do it. I said, I'm not doing it without you. He says, yeah, go ahead and do it. So Collins was going to do it. And then Stewie fixed his conflict or whatever, his schedule or whatever it was going on. Now he's going to do it. And I said, well, okay, I'm out. No problem. I'll stay home. He says, no. You can be the linesman. So KC and I will referee, and you can be the linesman. Okay, fine. Show up. And Johnny Busick is sitting at the end, which is supposed to be my stall, next to Stu and KC. Well, I'm not telling Johnny Busick to stand up, right?
Nope.
No way. I put my bag down. I'm standing there. I got a coffee. And Stewie says to Chief, hey, Chief, you're in Donnie's stall.
No way.
Yes way.
yeah,
now I want to go hide somewhere, right?
Oh, yeah.
This fucking Johnny Busick.
Right?
So I daintily open my bag and pull out my sweater. And I'm crazy about 9. Everything for me is number 9. I pull out my sweater and I show it to him. It's number 9.
I should have brought the signed puck.
What signed puck?
You got there's a. I'll send. I'll put it up on
eBay. Put it on eBay. You get $1 for it.
I'll buy it.
So that was the first game I did, and I didn't realize what an alumni game was all about, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm the linesman. I'm working the lines. I'm calling it not too close, but now I got to play where Pye McKenzie, God rest his soul, is trying to leave the zone. He's at the top of the circle, and Kenny Linsman's on a breakaway coming in, and they're about to cross paths in the slot. I can't let that go, right? I gotta blow a whistle here for an offsides. I blow the whistle for the offsides. Well, doesn't Kenny Linsman go absolutely fucking apeshit? Next face off, grabs my whistle off my hand, throws it in the bench. Lenny Clark was the coach.
Oh, that's awesome.
Lenny's the
So
coach.
now Lenny's the coach. So now Lenny's got my whistle.
Oh, Jesus.
And I dropped the puck, and I'm like, okay.
have
There's 30,000 people there. I mean, I'm not going to let that
Fenway
go.
Park.
You don't have a spare whistle?
No. I'm lucky I had one. Spare whistle. Yeah. And a spare lace, and I had a riot pad with a pencil.
Spare laces for the hole.
Yeah, right.
Spare whistle.
anyways, that was a great experience. And that's how I met some of the alumni guys, and then Stewie would do games. He would get asked. I didn't do them all because they used to just get guys at the rink. They'd show up at the rink and say, "Hey, you got time? You want to referee this game?"
Or Josh's dad.
Yeah,
he did a game. It was my sweater on.
So I would do games here and there, and then Bob Sweeney, Swoop, and Nifty, and Frank Simonetti, and a bunch of the guys were like, Donnie's pretty good. Maybe we should have him do all these games because he gets it. You
Right.
know?
Yeah.
And he's a good guy in the locker room because, you walk into the rink without a stick, everybody knows you're a referee.
Right.
And they say the referee's room's over there. I said, no, fuck, the beer's over there with the guys. I'm not going to the referee's room.
That's what happened to me at Warrior. I went to the referee's room, and I'm like,
we're
no
not
one's
there,
in
kid.
there.
Yeah.
And Mike grabbed me. He goes, oh, you're down here in the locker room.
yeah.
I was like, locker room?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And there's Chara and Tuca, and I'm like,
that's
this is
cool.
outstanding.
Warrior's unbelievable.
What a
great
facility, yeah.
Yeah.
They did a
They
great
made
job with
name
that.
tags for us and everything. So I have my own little name tag with my number for
That's
my
cool.
stall. Oh, they're unbelievable.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mike there is just, he's the best.
Top notch.
So yeah, I did those kind of games, but still working the business, so couldn't really do anything. I've done some games with Gino, which is an absolute howl.
I saw you guys do one, yeah.
Oh my God, absolute
Kids had a blast.
howl. So he tells me that we did a game that was the two best teams in junior or something. I don't think so, but that's the way he tells the story.
Don't let the fast get in the way of a good story.
I love
Right?
it.
So I have no penalties this whole game. He's got maybe 3. But at the end, I got definitely a boarding call. Boom, the arm goes up for the boarding. I'm looking, and a scrum breaks out behind me, and I turn around, and I got these 2 guys for the scrum, and when I turn back, these guys are gone, and I didn't get the number. So I don't know who I'm calling. I know I'm calling it on White.
Right.
I don't have the number.
Yeah. Which has happened to every referee
Yeah, that's
right?
the
at
worst,
one
yeah.
So
point
now
or
I go
another.
over to the bench, and I'm giving the coach the opportunity to put whoever he wants in the box.
Yep. Give me someone.
He refuses. You're the fucking referee. You made the call. You tell me what number's going in the box.
I
Does
hate
it,
that
Gino?
pompous fucking coach.
Pompous
Oh,
ass.
you mother!
I hate that.
Oh, I hate that.
That's one thing I never did as a coach, by the way. Never, ever did that as a coach. I was a dick as a coach. Never would do that, though. If the ref
It's
come over and said, I
stupid.
don't know the number, I'd say it was 16. Get in the box.
That's
Yeah,
right.
right. Help him out.
My worst guy.
Yeah.
Put him in.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Gino comes over and says, this is going to work one of 2 ways. Either you're going to put somebody in the box or we're going home. I said, okay. I guess that's the way we do it in junior hockey. So yeah, he's the best. And then, going back to Torgy for a second, a story just came to mind. So it's my second. So I supervise. Stewie put me in as a supervisor.
Yeah. I knew you
The
did that.
ECAC.
Yep.
Yep.
So it's like my second game maybe, and Torgy's the referee. And I know, I'm looking at who's going to be there, and I'm asking Stu, and I know he's a veteran and everything. And he says to one of the kids, "Hey, listen, if you want to fuck the coach, you never fuck him. You never fuck him on the other side of the ice. You fuck him on the bench side because he can't see down there." And I'm thinking to myself, "Holy shit, is this what I'm supposed to be teaching these kids? This is not the way it's supposed to be."
And by the way, that was before video.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Before
Way
video.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
way before.
Before, well, they had one
Hilarious.
camera back then.
Hilarious.
One
Of course-
camera.
Of course, he was kidding.
Right.
They
Oh no,
wouldn't-
but
they wouldn't do
it's
that.
like it's good principle, right? Like, hey, you didn't see that,
Well,
or
they,
like
they can't argue those.
They can't argue.
I mean,
You
they
can't
will.
argue those,
They
right.
will, but they can't argue them because
Right.
they didn't see it.
well, that's something where you can use like, hey, coach, I know you didn't see it because it's impossible from the angle from the bench side.
Yeah.
So this is what it is, and then you kind of have the upper hand in that situation. Is more the teacher.
I asked the coach one time, "What do you got? X-ray vision? Is that new technology out?" And he went, "What do you mean?" I go, "How did you see from your bench to that corner? Because the only way you could see it is X-ray vision."
right.
And he had nothing.
I tell the
You know?
story about Brad Lawson and St. Cloud. Like, what a great guy, great coach. Like, he's one of those guys that, like, never yells, respect. He has a question, you go over 9 out of 10 times. It's just a conversation, right?
Yeah.
So it's they're all big games in that league, whatever. At any college
Every
league,
game's a
every
big
game's a big game, right? So everything's hyped. It's late in the season, right? So it was like February, all those games, whatever. So there's a hold. Easiest hold. I'm like, oh, boom, nice and easy. It was down that kind of blind side where he couldn't see it.
Yeah.
He's giving me the gears. How can you call that? Blah, blah, blah. That's horrible. And I'm like, I thought that was a pretty cut and dry, easy hold. So game's going on, right? It was right at the start of the game. So you get 3 timeouts. So he's calling me over, yelling. I'm like, I'm not talking about a minor penalty. Not talking about a minor penalty. Next whistle, not doing it. Finally, timeout, I go over. I go, hey, Brad, what's up? He's like, that was a good hold. My video guy just told me. I was like, you were yelling at me across the ice just to tell me it was a good call because you didn't see it. I was like, that's why I was ignoring you. I go, if I knew that, I would have came over a lot earlier.
Had a chat.
That's pretty good. Yeah. That's pretty good. Now, we must have just missed each other in the ECAC. If you work for Stewie.
We worked for Luke.
We worked for Luke.
Yeah.
And that next year when Stewie took over was the year I hung him up for a while.
Yep.
Because I was coaching it there.
Yeah.
So we must have just missed each other.
Probably.
Yeah.
And I went out to the USHL right after that. Like Kevin Collins basically yelled at me, was like, you're wasting your fucking time here working Division I, blah, 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 blah. Get your ass out there. Call Scott Brandon. Get your ass in there. Go eat McDonald's out after every game. Go put 1,000 miles on your car. Go earn it. And I was like, he goes, you could do this for the next 20 years, kid. He goes, like, if that's what you want to do, have at it. You'll have a great college career. But if you want to go and shoot for it, get your ass out there. So that's what I did. I went to the program of merit that season and got hired and went out to USHL. And, you know.
KC's great. He was great to me.
He was awesome.
He was great to me.
Me too.
You know, he didn't have to be.
No.
And he was.
Yeah.
I mean, most guys in hockey are like that. There's very few assholes.
Very few.
Especially in our refereeing circle.
Oh, yeah.
Very few.
Yep.
Yeah, he's hard on you, but it's it's for the right reasons, right?
Yeah.
Like he expects greatness because that's how he worked and operated. Like
Yep.
you watch him, like he was the hardest worker. No one's gonna outwork him.
Yep.
And he worked all those Stanley Cup Finals for a reason because he took every single game the same way every single goddamn night. And that's what these kids don't understand. At the Division I level, we got guys that just fall asleep at the wheel. Like I sat down with Brian Murphy in Florida for about an hour, and we went over a whole bunch of guys for next season, like who's and what, and we went over his camp and this and that, right? And he mentioned one guy in particular, and he's like, hey, you got to light a fire under his ass. He's like, he's good, but he takes nights off, he takes shifts off.
Yeah.
And that's at the Division I college level. Like those kids, they only play 30 games or whatever it is, and every single game means something.
Yes.
And you can't take a shift off, you can't take a face-off off, you can't have a blip. And if you do, it could be it could cost your playoffs.
Yep.
It could cost you. And I don't know, I took every game I did in that series.
Absolutely. At every level. And
Yep.
you never know. I'm a big advocate. I'm sitting here because you take every game seriously, right? If not, I wouldn't be sitting here.
Right.
At every level, it's a serious
Yes.
thing, and you got to take it serious, and you got to do the job and do it right, And put in the effort.
100%.
And you never know who's in the stands. You never know who's watching
know.
you at any level,
We
at
say
any
that
time.
all the time.
Well, it's true.
Especially with Hockey TV and whose the other one? Flow TV.
Live
everybody
Barn
checks
and
in.
Live
that.
Barn.
Yep.
You could watch anyone anywhere, and you have no idea, whose eyes might be on there. Or
That's right.
You're in a rink, and I'll be in a rink, and I'll go, who's reffing over here? And you look out, and you're like, holy shit.
That happened to me all the time. Like Pat DePuzzo, like kids, like all these guys, all their kids play, right?
Yep.
So like they might be there watching their kid.
Yep.
Wes McCauley might be there watching his kid,
Yep.
watching his daughter, right? I've seen him out in Marlboro.
Yep.
And I was doing a game once in Merrimack. This was pretty good. There was it was a summer midget tournament. It was just more of like a showcase than anything. There wasn't like no trophy. There was no final. It was just like here's like you're playing 5 games or whatever, right? And scouts are there. So the game was kind of out of hand a little bit, a lot of scrums, and was getting physical. And the team that was losing, what did I do? How did I do it? I called the penalty. It was a weak penalty, right? And he's fucking yelling at me. How the fuck do you call that? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, we got a minute left. Now they got a free shot at the open net and we can get out of here. I go, that's going to run the clock. And he's just like, good one. And like he's yelling at me from the stands. He's like, how can you call that? I go, because if they shoot it at the open net, we don't have to, it's a running time now, right? I gave it to the team that was up so like they could just ice it. It didn't matter.
Game management.
Yeah, right? Game management.
That's right.
But the game presented itself with the infraction that I could call. It wasn't like I went and made up something.
Yeah. No,
you
needed that.
I needed that call. It was like, how do you call that? I'm like, very easily. Yeah.
That's
That's
page
the other
7.
thing that these kids don't get, right? Do you need that penalty? It's a penalty, but it's a minute and a half penalty. Do you need it in the game at this point? No. Then don't call it. But if you need it, don't go looking for it. But if it's there, call it.
Like you're not going to, like live, you're not going to call that action from Bennett a penalty, like on Coyle. You're not going to call that live. Your arm's not going up on that action. Like, it's just not for a minor penalty. In that game, I don't think you will call that a penalty. Everyone, like, I got people on Facebook, pausing it here, like, how is this not a cross-check? Because he pushes him with his friggin' top.
Yeah.
It's a push.
Yeah, right.
It's not a cross-check.
No.
No, the only thing that would make it a penalty is where it happened. That's the only argument I would have. And I'm not saying it was a cross,
Right.
but the only thing that would make that a penalty for me is where it happened. It's in the crease, and he put him on top of the goalie.
Yep.
And then that becomes 2 minutes, right? That's the only argument I would make for that push.
Yep.
It's the only time when a push
Okay,
like that.
so the defenseman pushes, so the defenseman just pushes him on top of the forward on top of the goalie. Is that a penalty? Same thing, same reverse angle, whatever. Are we calling that a penalty just because it's the offensive team?
Defensive guy pushes the
On his
offensive
own
guy.
goal, yes.
Well, that's just stupid by the defenseman.
But
But it's the same action, same thing, right? So, like,
Right.
it's the same principle. So are we calling that interference, or we just got to call that a puck battle? And
puck battle,
Yeah.
because the puck didn't go in the net.
yeah,
Right.
If the puck goes
And
in
if
the
the
net,
puck
it's
goes in
no
the
goal.
net-
Right, now we're
There's no
dissecting.
advantage
Now we're
game.
dissecting it the same way, reverse with the offensive player pushing the defenseman.
But that's I honestly I think that's an apple and an orange, because the offensive team gained a significant advantage by that play, where if the defenseman buries the forward into the goalie, he's actually hurting his own team. So he's actually giving the team that's being pushed an advantage, and that's why that wouldn't be the same situation, and it wouldn't be a penalty.
But
You know what I mean?
it's
It
hard to believe.
could be a penalty.
It's hard to believe all these guys, the guys on the ice that are pros, and the guys in Toronto that do this night in and night out. How can all these people not make that call? I mean, basically, they fucked up the rule, right?
If you look at the rule the way it's written,
They fucked it up.
completely
Johnny,
fucked it up.
I say this all the time. Like, you're going to listen to 10 seconds of bullshit if you disallow it, right? Probably you're going to listen to a little shit from Florida, right? But now you count that. We're still fucking talking about it, right? Like, when you weigh shit, right? I always say that. You're going to listen to 10 seconds of bullshit. Now, if we disallow that, Boston moves on to win that game. They move on to win the series.
Yeah.
Are we still talking about that play?
No.
No, it's long gone.
No.
It's forgotten.
Right? Are we still talking about that play if they reverse that goal?
Yeah.
Like, that's the whole kind of point of this, right? Like, we're fighting for our lives. The Bruins, I shouldn't say the Bruins are fighting for their lives, and they're not the best team. Florida's clearly the better team,
Yep.
and you need all the bounces. So, like, it's so frustrating. I see it in the juniors all the time, right? Like, you have the better team, and, like, the referee, like, they can't have those one or two kind of shitty or borderline calls go against them, because if they do, they're going to get buried because they're not as talented as that team that they're playing against.
Yep.
And that's what's going on here with the Bruins. They don't have enough talent to make up for the referee's errors, and I think that's what makes a good Stanley Cup team. You can make up for a referee error and make up for those mistakes and push through, and that's why you need a third and fucking fourth line.
Now, what do you think of Donnie Sweeney's comment about having the referees and or the series supervisor or the supervisor of officials talk to the media about these things? How do you feel?
Interviewed
about
after the
I
game.
like that.
that? I don't.
But
I'll tell you why I don't.
it should be like,
It wouldn't work.
it wouldn't work, but
How do you explain to a fan or somebody who really doesn't know the game management kind of calls or game management as a whole?
Yeah.
How do you explain? You can't.
You can't.
You can't explain that.
No, and
right? But it has to be in the game.
Well,
I agree. I don't think that. Yeah.
well, and they come out.
Now it's going to be a 4-hour conversation with these people who have no clue because
yeah.
they've never refereed at any
Right.
level.
Right.
Don't even probably know the rule book.
Yeah. Well, and they come out with a statement. They always come out with a statement. But, like, the statement they come out with for that particular play, it was like, it's almost laughable.
It is laughable.
Because they're saying basically, well, we didn't think, it's like, no, it
Wasn't
should be
enough of a
cut and
push.
dry.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of whether or not, you're not talking about a cross-check. You're talking about interference on the goalie.
Well, hockey's not
Different
cut and dry,
thing.
and it's really tough sometimes.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, there's 14 games every year. The EHL playoffs, the junior league.
Mm-hmm.
We play the round robin and then the quarters, semis, and the finals, all down at Providence College. It's an awesome week. 14 games in like 5-6 nights, and we have the video replay. And now I am the video replay guy up there, and we got the technician and whatnot. And I'll tell you, this one particular team, every time that the replays, I'm like, can you just have an easy fucking replay, like an offsides call or a goaltender interference or a goal, whatever. It's just always something difficult, and they're not always cut and dry. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm, but you get through it, and you're like, usually you break it down just how you would on the ice anyway, and you do come up with the right call, and you still get flack, you still get the bitching and moaning and groaning, even though we're watching and replay, and it's just like it doesn't make it easier or better. I think you should live with the call on the ice and human error, and let's get it right as best as possible, and be better than than one or two calls better than the other team.
Well, when we came up, when I was doing the East Coast League, we didn't have replay, we didn't have anything. You made a call.
Judge.
You made it. Well, we had goal judges, but most of them were half in the wrapper, and they were they were the fan of the team that you were at, right?
Hold it
I mean, 99.
In a coffee cup.
Yeah, I wouldn't say all of them, but there were some of them where you're like, you're looking at them going, they're cross-eyed and stuff, and you're going,
and their home, their home is for sure.
But we didn't have. So you made the call, right or wrong. You lived with it. Now, the difference was there was one camera angle that was way up top. So you couldn't zoom in. You couldn't freeze frame. You couldn't do all these things you can do now with high def.
Yep.
So they couldn't really even tell if you were right or wrong anyway.
Yep.
But you lived with the call.
Right.
And, you didn't have that crutch. We talk about it. It's a crutch.
Yep.
And a lot of guys use that crutch too much.
Yep.
And as they come up with replay, they don't have that ability to make that decision right away and own it and live with it. Right, wrong, or indifferent.
Trust what you see.
Trust your gut.
Exactly. And funny you say that, because when I thought it was going to be so easy. I was like, we get to go watch the play again. I'm like, this is fucking sweet. I was like, okay, all right, fine, let's go look at it. Come on, let's go. And then you go in and you're like, ooh.
Right.
And you're like, man, now I'm dissect. I go, I'd rather just get it. I'd rather get the feel. I'd rather get it right. I did not rely on it. I couldn't, because the first kind of couple of times I did it, it was like, this is horrible. And I didn't like it. And I was just like, you just got to trust what you see. Call what you call. And then if you got to go in to confirm your call. Don't go in and look for all sorts of different kind of whatever. Trust what you see, because in the moment, your gut's probably right 99.9% of the time.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, in the cases where you have a replay official upstairs, off ice, wherever they are, that's helpful. So, like I said, I did the beam pot, I don't know how many times, and I probably had 5 or 6 issues that had to be reviewed, that I had to look at. And it's easier when you're talking, because you get on the phone, and you're talking to the referee that made the call. Mm-hmm. They've got the iPad. They're looking at it. I'm looking at it. But I'm looking at it from a different perspective, and B, the kid is there doing the back and forth, whoever the
technician
is.
Yep.
Yeah. It's so much easier than if you're on your own down there with the little iPad trying to figure it out.
On your own.
Yeah. Right? Nobody with a different perspective, because I saw it live, and now I'm looking at it, but I'm looking at it from the 9th floor.
Right.
Right? Not right there. The other thing is that when we started in the ECAC with video replay, you would have these shots from above, but there's this thing called, and Sissick could tell you, the parallax view.
He got brought up! Yes! Oh my God!
The atom split.
On the ride up,
the atom split.
Gino says we got to give Steve Sissick a shout out.
A shout out, the poor bastard.
He broke a couple vertebrae.
Vertebrae.
No
He's
way.
in the hospital. He's got the neck thing on.
Oh my goodness.
In a lacrosse game. Yeah. And it's so funny you bring him up, because we said you wanted.
I wanted to bring him up. I wanted to give him a
in
shout
there.
out to him.
And we didn't plan this.
No,
right?
we did not plan this. That's why. That's why you see my reaction.
Freaking crazy that you brought. That's insane. But you're going to talk about parallax.
The parallax.
Parallax.
Right. So when you look at the goal line and the crossbar from above, the puck could look like it's over the line.
We will show that. I will send you that video. I will show you the parallax angle.
Yeah,
we can look at that right now.
Who knew in the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs we'd be sitting talking about geometry rather than hockey? It's called the parallax view, or the parallax angle. It's something that the guys in the video room at the National Hockey League deal with on a regular basis when you consider camera angles and you consider controversy of that little black puck going across the red line. They faced that problem last night at the Saddle Dome with Sam Bennett's shot that went off Frederick Anderson's pad just an inch and a half above the ice. And that created the illusion that the puck was in the net. There was no doubt in 20,000 Flame fan mind and millions more on television that that puck was in the net. Well, you know what? Science sometimes can't lie. It wasn't in the net for one simple reason, the parallax angle. Let's take a look at it. Here's the puck. It appears to be in. Simply in. Easy. That's a goal. There's no question. But as we get closer and we use the angle and we get right over top, we see, in fact, that the puck is actually still touching the red line. Hence, the parallax angle. Hence, inconclusive evidence of a goal. Hence, no goal, Calgary Flames.
So if the referee is in position, which money's at the net,
Yep.
I trust the referee as far as it going over the line more than I do the video replay. We had one once where Whittemore was the referee. Mm-hmm. He's literally on top of the net looking down. The puck is on the goalie, and there's like all these players in the crease. Well, if you can't see the line,
Because Whittemore's on top of the net.
well, no, because the goalie's laying across the line. The puck is somewhere in his paraphernalia.
Right.
If you can't see the line, how do you know if it's over or not? You know, and the argument was, and I got
You got to have a call on the ice. You have to have you have to see it
have
in the
it.
net.
He had no goal, and I said, I agree, it's no goal because
Yeah.
I can't see the puck. Just like if the goalie puts his glove on it, the
The-
glove is this big,
Right.
the line is this big.
Right.
Well, how do you if you can't
Well-
see the puck?
Well, the only
Just
time
'cause
the
the
only
glove
time
is over,
Well, the only
part of it.
Well, the only time that's a good goal is when it's in the glove. If the whole glove and
whole
the
glove.
elbow, the whole glove has to
Absolutely,
be
I
in,
agree.
and it's up to that certain part of the line.
Yeah.
That they consider that a good goal. We had that this year.
Yeah, well, there was
Yeah.
one last night.
Yeah.
But the goalie's covering it, and there's only a piece of his glove that's over the line.
Right. That's not.
How do you know where the puck is
You
within
need the
that
full.
glove?
You need
can't.
it up to
Correct.
a certain. Yep.
The whole
the whole
glove
thing
across
has
the
to be
whole line.
across the goal line.
And the referee's going to get that again if he's on the line.
If he's on the line. Yeah.
Which
And that's
well,
key.
At least, yeah,
That you have
most
to
of
be
the
on the
time,
line. Most
in
of
the
the time.
NHL, they're in position.
Sorry, I got too excited for Steve Sissick.
I'm sorry. I just threw up my mouth a little bit when you said that because I can show plenty of video where they're not in position, but that's okay. Yeah, you just
So can we get back? This is why.
I'm sorry, yeah, go ahead.
No. Sorry. This is why Steve Sissick is funny. So he calls me and my wife all the time, right? And this was the voicemail that this is the text voicemail that he sent to my wife, and I was dying laughing, and I actually got scared for a second. Hey, bud, just sick. I just wanted to give you a quick heads up. I'm definitely not going to be able to work next weekend. I'm at Beth Israel Hospital right now. I had an injury in lacrosse game and have 22 broke vertebrae, and I'm going to die in my cervical spine.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, well,
good excuse
I
for
guess
missing
I
games.
got to take him out of his games this weekend.
Yeah, that turnback's all right.
It turns out he's going to be fine. He just broke his 2 vertebrae.
Oh,
not 22.
Not 22.
I didn't even think we have 22.
No, C4, C5, C6 vertebrae he broke. And I want to give him a shout out and wish him a speedy recovery,
Yes.
Steve.
Yes,
'cause-
Steve.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's
Brilliant.
awful.
Adam Splitter.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And I had the parallax before you said it.
See?
I'm wicked smart.
Smart kid.
He's a wicked smart kid.
But what you it made me think of a game that I had in the East Coast League where the goalie's glove, he made the save, but the glove went in the net. And I'm on the goal line. And there's no question in my mind that puck was in the net, in his glove. And talk about a discussion when you go over the bench and the coach is going, the puck's in the glove.
Yep.
Yeah, but the glove was in the net.
In the net.
And if I wasn't where I was, I'm not selling that. I'm not making that call, first of all.
Right.
But it's like that's where my gut told me that puck was in the net, and my eyes saw it,
Final say.
right? But you got to. I had a wild one in Charlotte one time though. The kid shoots the puck, and the puck ends up in the net, stuck in the net, up in the top corner, stuck in the net, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like I've never seen a puck stuck in the net, and I had it as a goal. When the shot happened, and they're saying, "No, it wasn't." And what I used for evidence was the fact that the puck was more in the net than out
Out of the net. Right.
and there was no way the puck would have went through this way
And then stuck.
and stuck there.
Right, yeah.
It would have went all the way through.
Physics.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so I did.
Physics.
I used. I mean, John March wasn't happy with me either way. But again, we didn't have that video. Like if you had a video inside the net, like they have now,
Yeah.
it would have easily shown that.
Right.
Showed that I still say I was right, but it was stuck in the net. I'd never seen it before.
Was that at the Bojangles Arena?
That was at the Charlotte Coliseum.
Bojangles. Yeah, the
Charlotte
Coliseum.
Col-
Well,
is
yeah.
it- did they change
that
the
was like
name?
it's like the Coliseum rink. Yeah.
Yeah. But they didn't have.
It's Bojangles. Yeah, it was like
Bojangles.
Bojangles. Yeah, Bojangles Coliseum. Yeah, it was Coliseum.
Really?
Yep.
That was. It was a cool rink.
They used to play where the basketball team played for a while downtown. It was awesome, and then they moved to that arena.
The one that I did games at, the Charlotte Coliseum, was outside of
The city.
downtown.
That's where the
Yeah.
Coliseum is. It's 10, 15 minutes outside.
And they put us in a Holiday Inn that was across from it was like a Route 1, like a Route 1 road with
Upscale.
divided, right? And the Waffle House was right across the street.
Perfect.
And we used to call it the Crack House because this hotel was not, let's just say it wasn't, a 5-star hotel. And, but we're
Sleep on top of the sheets.
funny story about that Waffle House. Oh, you didn't, you hovered. And so we're in the Waffle House. It's after, and I'm with, who was I with? The kid from San Diego. He was deaf. Kevin Lord, I think. Yeah, Kevin Lord, I think was his name. And we're in the Waffle House. And next thing you know, in the parking lot, it was like a Kmart next door, going way back, right? All of a sudden, it was like a Michael Jackson video, I swear to God. There was a group of people walking across the parking lot this way, and a group of people walking across the parking lot this way. Like old school fucking Rumble type shit going to go down, right? But this, and I'll never forget, the waitress come over and says, if you hear popping, boys, get under the table.
No shit.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And all of a sudden, and now
You're not going to hear a boombox.
and I'm fascinated with this. I'm like against the window, like I'm looking at, a lightning storm. I'm like, this is going to be great. And the poor Kevin and the other kid, all of a sudden cop cars come from everywhere. I mean, like it was out of a fucking movie.
Right.
And they just scattered. Everyone just ran. And I was like, I said to the waitress, I go, is this? She goes, oh, it's happened before. And usually they catch them before they get together.
Yeah.
But it was crazy. But that right across the street from the hotel we were staying at. And then we had to go over and sleep. It's crazy.
So I lived for a while in Miami on South Beach on Ocean Drive. I was on Ocean and 15th. It's an ocean view apartment, right? $150 a month because it was a rat-infested shithole back in the 80s when the cocaine cowboys were all out there.
Yeah.
And literally, every building there was a shithole, and every place was either abandoned or about to be boarded up. And there was a shooting every night. I mean, I never knew if my car was going to be out there in the morning when I went out to get it.
Jesus.
So I started carrying every day.
No shit.
I mean, because it was a shit show there every day, all the time.
Scarface.
Crazy. Scarface.
Chi-Chi. Get the
That was
It's
back-
around the Miami Vice era.
What? Yeah, that was what back in like the
So
early
80
'90s, or late
No,
'80s, early '90s,
Early 80s.
early
Early
80s.
80s.
Oh, okay.
So the shootout that took place at the liquor store at Dadeland Mall that started all this stuff was in '79, and I think I was there in '81.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was bad.
Oh, it was bad down there.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
I told the story about how I got into the University of Miami, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't go because back then that was '87.
Yeah.
It was like a war zone down there.
Yeah.
Outside of you left the campus,
Right.
And it was bad.
Yeah, it was.
But you were on the beach. You had an ocean
Oh, it was
view,
beautiful.
baby.
Went to the beach every day. I was a busboy at the hotel at the Holiday Inn.
No
Brick
shit.
Lab, yeah.
One of my buddies from Southie lives out in California, in L.A., and he used to live right on Venice Beach in like a one-studio apartment. He's downtown now, but it was awesome. I would go out work American League, and I'd have an off day with him, spend the whole afternoon with him, and we'd go up and down the beach. It was awesome.
It's different now. If you go to, I don't know if you've been.
Oh yeah, I went a couple of years ago.
All the beautiful people. Are there.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's where the aliens are going too, right?
No,
That mall.
I can't blame them.
No, they can't afford there.
Yeah.
They're a little further. They're over town.
Well, when I went down there, we went on a cruise that goes around that island where all the the mansions are, and like
Oh, yeah,
J-Lo
Star
and
Island-
all
Star
these.
Island.
Yeah, Star Island.
Yeah.
And I think it was David Beckham owned a house on that island, and he also could see his penthouse apartment that was in downtown Miami. You could see, and they're both worth like 20, 30 million.
Yep.
You know?
Why do you need two of them?
Well, that's a good question. You know?
I'll take one.
Just three's too many.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, that was only in Miami. That was his houses in
Right.
Miami. And just the level of obscene waste of money that you see there. Like
Yes.
people own these $30 million mansions and they're there like what, 5 nights a year.
Right.
You know, like, and it's just, it's absolutely incredible. But we went on that boat. We were like, what are you shitting me?
That's awesome.
You know, unbelievable. And, but we don't want to get too woke and talk about how the wealth should be spread. You know?
I think that's a new record.
Don't do that.
The word woke not
Yeah.
being used.
Yes. Well, no, there's a new record of you saying it. Like usually get it out right away. But
Right
this is
away.
The longest we've
Is this
gone.
the first
without-
time he said woke?
No, this is the longest we've gone
Without
on a podcast.
woke.
Well, Donnie probably doesn't know. We were called
Woke.
woke.
Yeah, no,
Based
I
on-
watch all your podcasts.
Oh, yeah. Well, we were called woke. And
Like you always talk about midgets. First time I did a midget game, I said, these guys are all regular height. What's up with this?
I don't know how we're
I
getting
did it
away
with
with
Tino.
it.
Yeah, we did a midget game. I said, hey, they're all regular height.
I don't know how we're getting away with it. All right, I got to tell this story. I swear to God, I did a show this past Saturday.
Am I going to get like
Saturday
threatening
night.
emails or
No,
something?
No, you
Not
can't.
too, no, nobody watches.
No. My goal is to be so famous. I said this, I think, first episode. My goal is to be so famous, I get canceled, and I pay $1 million in taxes. That's my goal.
Yep.
Saturday night, I do a show at the Newburyport Elks. I know I'm throwing my success in your face. And
The bowling alleys.
I'm with this guy, Phil Volatino, who's a magician, comic magician. He booked me on the show. He does this bit at the end where he sets it up, and there's people in the audience, and they pick like cards and stuff. And basically, it's somehow he makes it that it's a midget clown, right? That he's supposed to make appear, and he pays this little guy who stood.
He hires a midget.
I swear,
A little
God,
person.
This poor
Little
prick
person.
stood behind this curtain on the stage the whole time for like 2 hours, right? And then he finally comes out at the end, and that's the big reveal, right? But the people that got the midget card have a son who's a dwarf.
Oh,
And so it was like the one couple in the audience that shouldn't have got this card. And he knew them, but somehow it got mixed up that they got this card. So when he's like, what does your card say? And they were like, we're not saying it. And then they yelled out, our son's dwarf. Now, as a comedian, all right, and Josh can attest, when something goes bad for another comedian,
Oh,
or
that's
in
the
this
best for
case,
you
a
guys.
magician,
Yeah, right.
I am absolutely pissing my pants laughing at this, right? And I'm going up next. I can't wait to get up there because this is the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Right.
you're going to use that material, right?
Oh my God. So, and it was just, it was one of those times. So I go up afterwards and I go, I'm sorry, that was the funniest thing I've ever seen. And the little guy's sitting at a table. And I even said, were you back there the whole time? And he was like, yeah. And he was eating a bowl of spaghetti. He was so hungry, he almost starved. But anyway, it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Dude, just show up the 10 minutes right before you're about to get rolled out.
He's committed to his role.
I thought there was a door. It was a window. And I said to him, well, there's no way you're reaching to get in there. And it was absolutely the funniest thing I've ever seen. Actually, I have the video of it. Because I was videoing for Phil. But anyway.
We'll blast it out.
You brought that up, and I had to tell the story. And I always say, I don't know how we're getting away with it. You know, tier 1 little person team. I don't get it. But
We had a clown referee when I started. That not every game, but he became a professional Ringling Brothers clown. Great athlete, great skater.
Really?
But he had this one routine where he had a mannequin with a referee sweater on, and it would get beat up, and they'd throw him in the bench, and then the guys would throw him back. Like they'd throw the clown on the bench, and then they'd throw the mannequin out on the ice. And I'm like, we're trying to get respect for referees and stuff. And holy shit, kid, you think you can just take that little piece out and do all the other stuff, with the arrow through your head and the stick through your ear? And
maybe the bucket
you
of confetti.
all this skating around with a toilet seat on, that's all great. But why don't you get rid of that? Get rid of that part.
That's awesome.
So we had a coach this weekend, Chowder Cup, team from Toronto. They come down. They're it's a Saturday night game. They're not advancing. It's the first period, and there's a knee trip, questionable. It's a minor penalty, and he loses his fucking mind. And he said to me, he goes, I deserve to get thrown out. Blah 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 blah. Because I went up and talked to him and tried to calm him, like just save face or whatever, right?
Yep.
And he's like, he starts telling me what happened. He described the penalty, and I'm like, okay, so this was a minor penalty, right? He's like, yes, minor penalty. I'm like, okay, minor. Like, no need to fucking lose in my head. I'm like, no need. And then he's going on, and he's like, then the pompous fucking referee wouldn't talk to me in between when he's walking off. He just tells me, nope, you're excused from this game. I don't have to talk to you. Like, oh, that little pompous fuck. And I'm like, okay, excuse me. Why is he pompous? I go, you just got thrown out of the hockey game. Okay, that's one. And I go, you thought it was a good time to have a conversation with the referees in between the periods that you just got thrown out in? Like, you just thought the referees were going to stop and have a conversation with you, right? Well, I go, no. I go, do you understand that we get assaulted? We don't talk to disgruntled people. You just got thrown out of a hockey game. Well, about some cool-off time. I have no problem talking to you after the game when it's done and over. Not in between, underneath the tunnel. Right. Like, he couldn't get over that. And he's just like, and that's just another layer that he's just trying to bury the referee on. Like, oh, fucking pompous. And then the kids are going out there. The second period was an absolute fucking disaster. Cross-checks, fights, the whole deal, right? Yeah. And then, like, there's a fight at the end, and they're trying to, like, escort the kid off. And the kid was being a punk, and, like, he was, like, fighting back with the referee. And the referee had to just, like, hey, boom, like, you're going. And, like, another kid hops over the glass that's in the stand, starts yelling. And I'm like, you know what the problem? I turned to a father, and I go, you know what the problem is right now? I was like, this kid yelling over the boards where I came from, my buddies would have knocked me the fuck out for yelling at the referee. And the kid was like, he's a kid, leave him, get your hands off him. I go, are you watching the same thing I am? He is stopping from being an absolute line brawl and mayhem. Yeah. I go, he controlled the knucklehead, got him off, and did his job. And now this kid is motherfucking him and thinking he's manhandling a 18-year-old kid who decided to take his helmet off and try to fight, right? So who's at fault here, right?
It's ridiculous.
And then like, it's just always on us, always against us. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, you just shake your head. It's society now, and the way they're looking at officials in respect of authority. Like, we just get the middle finger all the time. Yeah. And sometimes it's self-inflicted. Don't get me wrong, right? Sometimes it's self-inflicted. But if you're going out there, like you said, taking it serious, giving an honest effort, and yes, I might make a minor penalty call that you disagree with. Big fucking deal. I'm out here giving an effort. We had D1 officials on that game, and they handled it the best way possible. They're not the ones cross-checking people. They called it. They're not the ones running people. They called it. If they didn't, I'd be pissed.
Right.
I'd be like, dude, this is going to get out of control, and now someone's going to get hurt. Blah, 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 blah. But we don't want kids getting thrown out left and right here. We want them to earn it. If it presents itself, call it, right? Like, a couple of kids got thrown out for their mouths. Like, a couple D1 guys aren't going to put up with that shit. And too bad. And it's just like, hey, we're here getting looked at. Well, you should have thought of that before you told the referee to go fuck himself, and then tell him to go fuck himself again, and then made a mockery and do the blind stick thing going on all the way to the box, which is kind of funny. But,
not necessary.
But you're not going to get picked up by a coach.
No.
I mean, a coach sees that. Who wants that on their team?
No. Right. And this body language, it's the whole thing. Like,
you called me right after this.
Yeah.
You called me right after you left the rink, and I was like, hello, and he's like,
oh, I was fired up. I was fucking fired up.
I was like, oh.
And I'm like, and the whole time I'm talking to this coach, I'm going, if we had the podcast going on here, like, how the hell would this go? Do we bring him on, or do I just, like, kind of have someone film me talking to him, or do I just have, like, a face thing? Hey, we just had this happen. Like, I go, this is content. I go, this is, like, good shit. Like, I don't know.
But the level of respect isn't there, and I, in some regards, like Jack Edwards, you guys talked about him just.
Oh yeah.
And I spoke to Jack on several occasions and saying, there's little kids sitting at home watching this game that think you're the best. And when you talk the way you do about referees and linesmen, you're doing the game a disservice. Right. You're doing that little kid a disservice. And you're doing the officials everywhere at every level a disservice. You're in a position to be able to say things to make it better, to make the game better, and you're not doing it. And I really wish that you would, because you're a professional, and you should.
And you're respected.
Yeah.
Right. You got to respect the authority of the ref. Now, if they make a mistake, that's one thing. But the way that you
call him come on.
Yeah, coward.
Yeah, coward. Yeah, that's what it was. Coward. It wasn't clown. Yeah, coward.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Inept. Pick whatever words you want to pick. But listen, the respect starts when you show up at the rink, and you go to the referee's room, and there's not a sink, there's not a toilet, and
that's the worst.
Right away, you're like, if you're a new official and you're walking in there for the first time, this is what I'm thought of, right? This is where I'm.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sweat. Don't need a shower.
Yep.
And then it just progresses from there.
If you got to pee,
You got to
go and
through
Uncle Ned's coffee mug.
Yeah. Or you got to.
or walk out.
Yeah.
Or you got to go out into the crowd.
With the crowd.
And
I'll tell you, the greatest thing that has happened to me, I've had no less than 4 little kids at these alumni games come up to me and say that their parents come up and say, he wants to be a referee.
Oh, that's cool. But only 4.
Unbelievable.
That's cool.
I mean, that's a lot. 4, I think 4 is a lot in 14 years.
Yeah.
4 is a lot because usually it's zilch. No kid wants to be a referee.
No.
So right away, that kid gets a sweater, a little kid sweater that I have made up for him, and a puck and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Because they have to be encouraged.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
At
And
every
knowing
level,
your
they
back.
have to be encouraged.
Yep.
And if the TV guys aren't doing it,
So let me ask you.
Shame on them.
That's a great point, though. Like I never personally, I never thought about it like that. We joke. I mean, Jack's a homer, no question, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes he's over the top. Never thought of it from that angle. That because like we say, I mostly me, I say shit about different refs in the NHL and stuff.
Yep.
But I hope no kids are watching this, right? Probably is, but whatever.
My whole
But I
Daughters
never
Terrier
thought-
team is.
Yeah, well, I never thought of it that way, though.
Yeah, they're not
It's an
gonna-
interesting way of thinking of
they're
it.
not. So then why do they do it? If they're not
Right.
passionate about the game, right? They're doing it for the money. And if they're doing it for the money, they're kind of doing it for the wrong reason.
Right.
100%.
I mean, the money's there, and that's fine. Like my first, I don't know how many years doing this alumni stuff, I volunteered. I did it for nothing. I didn't expect to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
I drank a lot of Bud Light, though, so it cost them a lot of money. It cost them a lot more than a game fee, I'll tell you that.
Right.
But, you do it for love of the game. But if they're hearing this on TV from people, they're not thinking that's
Now,
what
let me
they
ask you,
wanna do.
I think they should bring all those broadcasters. They should all go to the NHL training camp. Like
Some have.
I think Jack
went.
Jack was invited once, right, just to go
he
see,
went.
which is good, right?
Yep.
So Dave Starman, he does a lot of the college stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
he does the CBS. I think he's with CBS, but he does the women's pro league and all sorts of stuff.
Yep.
And he every single year, him and his wife go to the NCAC training camp, and they sit in on meetings. They sit on the NCAA meetings,
Yep.
and they educate themselves. So when they're on the air, they know what the hell they're talking about.
Yep.
Dave always stops in when he's working a game into the referee room before and after the game, and he asks us questions. He vets us, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And it makes his job a lot easier because when, hey, the referees are probably explaining this. I went to the camp. These are the new rules they're going through, and he has some credibility.
Yeah.
And he actually knows what the hell he's talking about. And I think there's some merit to that.
Billy Jaffe did it. So Billy refereed. So he knows,
Yep.
and he doesn't shit on him. I mean, he'll say if they've done something that he thinks is wrong or right or whatever, and and Brick knows the rules. He
Brick's
knows the
okay.
game.
Brick's okay, yeah.
He's not berating him, but he's telling it like it is. But there's some that are just over there. You don't even know who they are anymore. These referees, right? Used to be. And I know you guys have said it on this podcast before, but I'm watching a game, and if Paul Stewart came out and he's going to referee the game, I know it's going to be a fair game.
Right.
I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to think about the referee.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to watch my team play because he's just going to do his thing, and it's going to be fine.
Right.
But now, these guys are, once they took the names off the backs
Right.
and put helmets on their head,
Right.
they're just numbers.
Right.
They're not, there's no personality. And I think that the media as a whole, and that's why this is so important, right? Stuff like this could do a better job.
See, like Wes has the personality, right? Because he's the vet, he's the leader of the group, right?
Yeah.
And he can get away with it, right? Or Wes can get away with it. So like if someone else tried to do it, it's like, nah, don't be Wes. So like why not try to get a personality out there, what have you. Everybody, it's just kind of like, hey, just go do your job, just be vanilla, and let's try to bring some entertainment to it and this and that. But that's what you get if you're anything lesser than the top guy. Like, hey, don't be Wes, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think we've talked about it too. Back in the day, there were personalities. You know, like
Definitely.
Stewie,
Frazier,
and
McCreary, Mick Magoo, like you
Andy
can go
Van
right down
Helmont, right? Van Massenhoven.
Yep.
And when you got them, you knew the personality, but you also knew the game you were getting.
Yep.
And whether you liked that game or not, whether you liked the way they called the game or not, you knew what you were getting.
Yep.
You knew that he's going to do this and not do this. And whether you liked it or not, at least you knew what you were getting.
Yeah, and the standard was the standard.
The standard was the standard, and it was their standard. Like they were
Whatever they
established
set there.
standard. And it's no different than back in the day in all the leagues where you work, like the East Coast League. By the time my third year, everyone knew what they were getting with me, and they knew what they were getting with other guys. Now it's kind of with not only the lack of that personality, and I don't mean that in a derogative way. I just mean like, there could be 4 guys out there, and no one would look and go, oh, that's Mick Magoo, that's
Right.
Terry, that's Kerry Frazier, that's whoever.
Everybody knows who Rudy is.
Yeah, well, yeah. I love when he makes a call.
How about Kevin Pollock?
Oh yeah,
Oh, don't stop
He's
me.
got a high voice.
Don't stop me.
What?
I'm not a big fan of Kevin. Not a big fan
really
of
neat
Kevin.
guy.
I like Kevin.
He was
I
in the
never met
Coast
him.
League when I was in the Coast League.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I just never thought he was that good.
Yeah.
But
So Rooney left Gino in Montreal one time. So we drove up, me, Gino, and Murph, and Brian Murphy. He was lining the game. It was a playoff game. And we go up, and so the next day, Rooney's going to give Gino a ride home. No problem. Murph's flying out. I'm going to go. So Gino calls it in a panic. You're still here, right? Yeah. Why? Rooney left. He left me. I said, no problem. No problem, Eugene. I got you. Just left him.
I thought it was, but well, hang on. I left Sweeney in Providence one time.
A little different than Montreal, right? You're not going to take an Uber from Montreal.
I go after the game. I backed up the thing, and he didn't go to the game. He just fucking went, whatever. He went out, and I go, hey, if you're not downstairs, me and Blanchard are leaving, and he wasn't downstairs. We called, boom. It was Sunday night. We were going home. See ya. You can take the train. I'll pick you up tomorrow. I don't know, whatever. Figure it out, but
that's awesome.
I'm going home tonight.
He left him in Montreal.
Good thing we didn't. Good thing I'm not an early riser.
Right?
Yeah. If not, he might have.
That would have been an expensive cab ride.
expensive cab ride.
I'm shocked that Chris was up that early.
Yeah, I don't know what time it was. He was a piece of work. I said, "Hey, big game, right? Place is going to be really lit up. Yeah, it's just another hockey game.
Yeah,
He doesn't.
yeah.
He's so
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Oh no.
I mean, that's what makes him so good. Well, part of what makes him so.
We went
good.
down to New Jersey when he worked the finals. That was friggin' awesome. We were we went hanging out in his room beforehand. He was just he was just busting balls
Yeah.
nothing. I would have been shitting my fucking pants.
Right.
Probably why I'm not there.
No, Rune's by far, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. If not the best, one of the best in the league.
No
Oh,
doubt.
Runes? Oh,
Runes,
100%. Wes is phenomenal.
There's those Danny
Those
Rourke,
upper echelons, those
there's
veteran guys. Yep.
that,
Sutherland.
are great.
Yes.
He's
Had a tough playoff.
I like Kelly.
He's had a tough.
I like him as a I met him in the Western Hockey League.
I met him a couple times.
Way back in the day. I just think that a great communicator. I know a lot of guys like him, players and whatnot.
Yep.
I just think sometimes he is on another planet. And when with the game he's watching like that, I can't get over the Achari slew foot. It was a trip. It wasn't really a slew foot. Back in the playoffs.
So funny you say that. So
with the St. Louis.
It was St. Louis. So right
He's
after.
looking right at it. It's like, how do you not make that call? And I don't know what it is with him. And it's happened in playoff, not just with the Bruins, where you go, what fucking
Well, they
planet
were
are you
going
on?
down
Watch
soft. They were going down kind of soft, and he thought he embellished, right? So he didn't react to it because of the reaction of the results, right? So he just kind of left it be.
but the
But the
play that
high,
did it-
but hang on. But where he was though, he's looking high. He's not looking where the feet were. Like his vision was here, and the high guy, I think it was Kozan or Kazari. I thought that was his fucking call because he can see the action. Where Sutherland was, he can't see that fucking action.
See, I disagree.
See, like they even show it, but they even show the corner view of it on the replay, and when you see that on the replay, you're like, okay, I can see why he doesn't react to that. That's all I'm saying. Mm-hmm. I can see why he doesn't.
What do I always say? Look at the evidence.
Right.
Look at how he fell, and look at the reaction of the player that did it.
But if that
he
doesn't,
stood up and was like, fuck, I'm
but the
getting
whole,
a penalty.
My whole thing on that one there is the same thing I'm saying about the Florida thing. If that puck doesn't go in the net, we're not fucking asking why that wasn't a penalty.
Right.
Right. So if that puck doesn't end up in the back of the net, like we're not like, oh, that was a fuck call. They just missed one.
The problem is it did.
I know it did. Right.
So
same thing with this. Right. With the goal. Right.
It did. And when
hockey gods were not on your side.
Then it's a problem.
And I thought it was actually kind of. So I was working the NCAC, and Ryan Daisy was in Minnesota working a game, and one of the linesmen reached out to him actually, and we met and had wine with Sutherland and all that, and I kind of brought that up a little bit.
Oh, did you really?
I just brought the game up, right? I was like,
yeah.
Oh, that game 5 was tough, right? And he just started talking about it like organically. We didn't bring up the call. I did not bring up the call. We brought up the Bruins in general, which I thought was kind of cool. Because he was like, man, he goes, they were the better team, but they were fucking all injured. He goes, they got the shit kicked out of them that series. Like, Bergeron was hurt. Everybody was hurt.
He wasn't the reason why the Bruins didn't win.
No. Like I brought up Game 5 just kind of like to see if like it would organically come about, and it didn't. And I was just like, I'm like, whatever. It is what it is. But it was kind of cool just to sit and fucking have a glass of wine and shoot the shit with. From the guys that worked the series and stuff like that, and we just talked shop about it. It wasn't like anything. It was kind of cool.
I've been lucky enough to have that opportunity a bunch because Murph's a good friend. So sitting with those guys.
After games. At the
bar talking because they're talking about the game.
Oh yeah.
Brad Watson was the best. Brad would break down. He'd break down the game after the game. And talk about it.
Right.
But the best one was we were at the Fours, and the game's on TV. They're talking about it and replaying.
Oh, and they're watching
and they're watching the game. And here's the guys that just called the game, right? They're all like, "Look at that fucking idiot! Look at that fucking call! How did he do that?" And they're looking. He's the guy. He's the guy that did the game right here. Ask him.
It's like, did you referee the game? No,
it was him. It was him. He's the asshole.
I'm in town selling soup. That was our answer back in the day at the bar. Were you the ref tonight? No, I'm a soup salesman.
Nah, my cat died.
Always add water, never add milk. That's what I say.
But like people, like that's a good point you just brought up. Like we're professionals. We care about our craft. We care about the performance we do. And there's no harder critic than ourselves as officials. And I'll tell you, a lot of us beat ourselves up too much. And I did. I was one of those guys that beat myself up. And so do these guys. We don't just go home and crack beers and see a lot of people do. Like you do. You let loose. But we sit there and we talk about the game. I call it cop talk with all my cop buddies, right? Yep. We call it ref talk. So we sit and hash it out, and that's how you get better, and that's how you learn. That's how I always learn at a fucking bar.
Right.
Like I don't know. Like listen to my father and all you guys after games, and you guys would all meet up, and everybody would talk shop, and this happened in my game, and you're like, oh. I'm not going to do that because he just messed that up, and everybody just learned from it from just being at the bar,
right?
Or just being social.
And that's a big job, I think, for the supervisors, is to go in and start those conversations in the locker room after the game. Not go in and kick the can, but go in and start a conversation about what you see there.
Right.
What was that? Because I'm looking at it from a different perspective, but just to get them engaged in that conversation, talking about what could we have done better?
Yeah.
How could we improve?
You don't go in and go, hey, that hook you called at 17-24, that wasn't a hook.
Yeah.
It's like...
Or at 17-24, the third period, you turned the wrong way in the corner.
Yeah, like that's not
what
it's...
Are you fucking kidding me?
No, it's like, hey, what did you see on that hook? Because from my perspective, you just go, hey, what was your angle? And sometimes they'll go, hey, I wish I had that one back. Like, honestly, like that wasn't a very good call. Right. Or they say, hey, I had it in the hands, so I reacted to that, and the kid kind of like toe pick or whatever, right? Like...
I always say to him, like, I'll say, at 15-23, there was a big hit in the corner, and see what they say.
Right.
And as long as they have an opinion on it.
Right.
Oh, you know what? What I saw wasn't or or yeah, I know the one I didn't get a good look at it, or I saw it and thought it was a good hit.
Right.
Yep.
Good, you have an opinion.
Okay.
Whether I agree with your opinion or not, or whether I saw the same thing or not,
Yep.
as long as you have an opinion and saw it, that's what's key.
Yep.
Because if you don't see it, then there's the problem, right? Or if you don't have an opinion on it, then now we know where the teaching moment is, right?
Right.
And I bust balls on some of these guys. I know I wasn't perfect as a ref, and
No.
we have the benefit of watching it and not being in there, and I know how fast it is. I know how difficult it is. But like I say it on the Monday night calls, when we watch a D1 game and there's something blatant that's missed, right? And I always say, if you're doing this level, you fucking got to see that.
Yeah, you can't miss.
Right?
Can't miss
I'm not talking the hook or the hold or the someone getting their
dangerous hit.
feet kicked
Yeah,
out.
the slew foot. Yeah,
Right?
we had a couple slew
You
foots.
got to see that.
Right.
If you're doing that level, linesman or ref, someone's got to see that out of four guys.
Right.
Right.
That's what I always say.
And that's where the linesman has to step up, right? Which sometimes they do and sometimes they don't.
Yep.
But again, if they're serious about it, they will. They'll step
Right.
up and they'll go to the referee and they'll say, "Hey, you missed that.
Right.
You got a penalty."
Right.
Have an opinion.
Have an opinion.
Have an opinion.
Just make sure you have an opinion. And I always, like the linesman, I always say, well, what'd you have?
Right.
Oh, I thought it was a good hit. Okay, did you communicate that? Did you ask him?
Yeah.
And you want that. Yeah, I said, hey, what'd you have in that hit? I thought it was a good hit. Okay, good, because I know you do it all the time.
Oh, I
did
vet
it all the time.
When I ref, I always vet the linesman. I always ask them, hey, what you have on that hit?
Yeah.
And sometimes I probably missed one. I want them to tell me I missed one.
Yeah.
Right? And if they don't, I know where we stand. I'm like, I just fucking missed one. I know I missed one. I
Yep.
probably
Yeah.
should have called it. What do you have? And then, okay, we're on the same page. You
Yeah.
just told me, hey, I should have probably taken that for interference.
Yep.
And I'm like, all right, good, and thank you. That's what I want to hear. So now I can go over to the coach and go, hey, coach, I didn't get a good look at it. The linesman did. Minor interference. Like, I did get a good look. I'm not guessing here, coach.
Right.
Moving on. Now they got an answer. Someone fucking saw it. It didn't get missed, right? It did get missed.
Right.
But we acknowledged it, and we're not going to do that
Move
again.
on.
No,
Yeah.
it gives massive credibility to
Right.
the linesman too. When you go over and say, "Hey, my line told me I just missed one. That's my bad. I'm going to work better to get I'm going to work harder to get the next one."
Right.
That builds credibility for everyone, right? And I do it in the pregame. Like in the pregame, you say, "Hey, if I miss something, let me know."
Yeah.
If I, let alone a major, if I miss a trip or something, let me know. Hey, 5 just tripped that kid, or a high state, whatever. Because I want to know that. I want that information because
too.
information's a weapon.
Yeah.
Right? In those situations. And you want to be able to say to the kid when he, hey, I know you got clipped in that last shift. My lining told me I missed one, and that way it builds that credibility,
Or hey, keep an eye on number 5 because every time I skate by him, he's on fire. His eyes are burning.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
something going to happen here. This is going to explode.
Right?
Yep.
So keep an eye on him.
I love communicating through the whole game, man.
Yeah. And that's why
Can't
there's
over-communicate.
those certain linesmen that you work with that you like, it's going to be a good game because you feel good about it because they have your back.
Yep.
And you know that they're going to be honest with you and say, yeah, you kind of fucked that one up, and you're not going to take it personally because he's coming from the right place.
Yeah.
Right on.
So, I don't know. We usually do some questions with Josh. I don't know where we're at time wise. I mean, I left Frankie Chirps at home tonight.
Yeah,
We
so
got,
no dog
Saw
barking.
your dog.
Frankie Chirps is he's probably flipping out.
What are we at,
driving
like an
the
hour,
neighbor.
hour and a half?
I don't know. I always lose track of time. But
It's almost 9:30.
Josh, you got any questions for us, or we got some? I just find that you're a fascinating man.
I am?
I
In what
liken
way?
you to the Dos Equis guy. The most interesting man
No.
in the world.
I am the Forrest Gump of hockey officiating. I step in a pile of shit and end up at Fenway Park and
Right?
Gillette
Well,
Stadium.
I'm glad I asked. I'm glad I never
That was a
heard
good
that
arc of a story. That whole thing was
seriously.
great.
Which story?
When I said I
heard,
didn't
like,
know where you
yeah.
came from,
I got more.
I really didn't know how you ended up where you're at, and
Yeah.
it's fucking fascinating. I'm glad I'm glad I didn't know because I wouldn't have asked, and it's a great. I mean, fucking like you just said, you end up at Fenway Park.
With Kevin
with
Collins
Stewie
and Paul
Kevin
Stewart,
Collins.
like
I
the
mean, cut
best
the
of the
shit.
best.
Oh, and how about
Right?
ending up at Rentschler Field, where UConn plays football, outdoors, the Whalers against the Bruins.
Oh,
alumni.
yes. Was that with the Hanson brothers? Yeah.
So it's me and Marty Demers on the lines.
Who we're getting him
Marty.
on. We're getting him
We
on the
mentioned
podcast.
him.
I
I
read
was
it
on
him
the phone
Friday.
with him the other day.
We mentioned
Oh,
him.
he's
the
Love
balls.
Marty.
He's getting on here.
Working with him is the best.
I don't know if you got time, but I got a great Marty story. But
Plenty of time for Marty.
It was like, and then Stewie and your dad were the referees, and it
boy.
was, and they did a great job selling it out. But that day it was 2 degrees, real temperature with a 20-mile-an-hour wind. So like 100 people showed up. It's freezing out. And we're not wearing helmets or anything. I mean, it was fucking cold out there. And they made us go they made the Bruins go the same way with the wind in their face all 3 periods. Then the American League played at night.
I remember
The
that.
Whale against
That's right.
Providence. And those poor bastards, because now the sun went down. It was so cold that the ice was breaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and
That's how it was
Marty
in the
were
one
out there
I
just
did.
fixing ice.
That's how the one I did.
Yeah.
It kept chipping. Yeah.
Terrible, but what a great game. But here's a Marty Gino story. So Marty and I like NASCAR.
I was gonna bring this up. I'm so glad you did, because I didn't realize. I was like, this got to be a true story, but
It's a true story.
this is awesome.
So I like NASCAR. Marty likes NASCAR. I'd never been to a NASCAR race, and again, I doing pretty well. And I said to Marty, "Hey, let's go to Loudon to the race." He says, "Yeah, let's do that." So we get hot passes, which are passes to go into the pits
Yep.
where all the cars are. I get a helicopter to pick us up and take us into the track. Like
Are you shitting me?
No, like the drivers do. So a helicopter picks us up.
This is why I'm saying this is a true fucking story.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Listen to where he landed.
Helicopter picks us up. We land in the infield of the track where all the drivers and the owners and everybody land in their helicopters. Get out of the helicopter. They put us in a little cart, a little golf cart, take us around the track, drop us off. We go in the pits. We're in the pits. We're here. We're there. Got a suite, so we go in the suite.
Where'd you park your
There's
helicopter? I got to ask that
It's
question.
on my helicopter. I rented a helicopter.
No, but where do they park it? Do they just leave
it's
it
a
there?
landing. No, it's a landing pad, and they just keep coming and going.
Holy shit.
They're ferrying people in and out because
In
driving in there, there's like I don't know how many people. It's a big crowd,
Yeah,
bigger than a
that's
football game. So it's a bitch to get in and out.
Almost
All right, so
100,000 people. Yeah.
now we're sitting here, and so it's Gino,
freaking helicopter.
right? It's his dad. It's his dad. It's me. It's Marty. Gino's done no fuck all about NASCAR.
No, wait a minute. Was his dad on the helicopter? too?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like,
outstanding.
So my father's telling the story. Yeah, I was just in the helicopter. I landed in Loudon, right in the fucking track.
Yeah.
I go, there's no way you
We're in a
landed. We're first of all in a helicopter and then landed on the NASCAR track. Not a fucking
He
chance.
did. But it gets better. There's more. So now we're in the suite, and we're going to watch the race. And me and Marty have these headphones, listening to the teams. Well, the beer is, I don't know if it was free, but it was very cheap. So, the Heinekens kept coming. Anyways, here goes the race. And Gino says, "Wow, that was fucking great." I says, "Gino, this is the Lennox 301. That was one." He thought it was like a horse race.
was one?
Yeah, once around. I'm like, "No, Eugene, this is the Lennox 301. That was one. There's 300 more to go." He says, "Holy shit. Bring it on, man."
That was great. That was a fast race.
Unbelievable. Me and Marty are laughing hysterically.
Spoken like a true city kid, right?
Now
That's
we're going to
incredible.
leave. We're the first ones, literally the first ones on the track at the start-finish line after the race is over and, they do all their celebrations and everything. The little kite comes and picks us up and takes us around the track. Now, all the fans are still there. They don't know who the fuck we are.
No.
We are. Gino's like this. We're waving with pumping fists, driving around the track, back to the helicopter pad, in the helicopter and back. Unbelievable. But the best part was, wow, that was great. No, that was only one kid.
What a great
day.
Yeah, when he told me he landed on that track in a helicopter,
track,
I go, like, me and Sweeney are like, dude, we've heard your stories. Like, no, that didn't fucking happen.
Well, I only did it once.
Right.
So, I mean, if I went to every race every year, add up what it would cost to do it regular.
Yeah.
No.
Well, fuck it. Just get the helicopter and get the suite and do it once.
Yeah.
Invite a couple of buddies.
Outstanding.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, do it up
Do it
right,
right.
once. Yeah, I like
That's
that.
it. I haven't been back since. That was a long time ago. And I haven't been back
Well, if
since.
you want to take a couple of
Yeah,
zebras
yeah,
in a
yeah,
helicopter,
yeah.
let us know.
We can video. We'll do a whole episode on it.
I used to say
Zebras
to,
in a helicopter.
What the hell was his name? The the guy that ran the ECAC, the commissioner.
Steve Hagel.
Steve Hagwell.
Great guy. I just was down in Florida, had dinner with him with Bobby D.
So he didn't know why I was doing what I was doing because, the business and this and that. He says, so how'd you get here? I says, helicopter. So it's out back. It's waiting for me. Or if the rink was a little closer, limo. Limo's
awesome.
out there. You want to ride?
He must just. This is Steve. He just shakes his head.
He just shakes his head,
Yep.
looking at me but he believed it.
Oh yeah.
That's outstanding.
Yeah. Funny.
I love when people go, how'd you, was traffic bad? It was. My helicopter's in the shop. So I had to take the car. And they always look at you like, what?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Thinking.
The ECAC down in Florida, Coach Mike Schaefer saw the hat.
Yeah.
Was like, I got to get on that podcast. I go, you can come on anytime you want, Coach. Every time
Anytime.
you walk by me, Every time you walk by me, I was like, let's go, Big Red, let's go.
We gotta schedule him for sure.
He was awesome. I like dealing with him. He's a great guy. Like,
I tried not to talk to the coaches as much as I could.
you know what? I mean, I had a good rapport with most of them for the most part, and I get in, get out, say hello.
Yeah.
That's it.
The best part about that was you questioning your dad.
Yeah.
And whenever I'm with your dad and he's telling the stories,
Oh
right,
yeah.
whoever's there usually turns to me and goes, "Did that really happen?"
Yes. Yeah.
And I go,
Hard to believe.
"Every word."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
There is no embellishment.
Well, the Luke Galvin story up in
Oh,
Lake
my
Placid
God.
with the fight. Like, so my father tells this big story and this and that, right? And Jimmy Doyle's involved. He's just sitting there having a beer and this. And the way my father tells the story, he tells it. And then Luke tells it in Luke fashion, way better, but everything's identical.
exactly
And
the
I'm
same.
like,
No.
all right, that
facts are the
happened.
facts.
Okay, we're 2 for 2.
Couple of stories, they're like, and I go, "I was there."
Yeah. Yeah, right.
And oh yeah, so outstanding.
Interesting.
We've had some nights and some weekends and some weeks.
Well, I'm sure
Yeah.
it's probably good that we didn't cross paths back in the day,
Yeah.
right?
No,
Yeah.
why? No, it would have been fun.
Oh, it would have been fun.
He's sober now for a reason.
I don't know if I'd be sitting there hosting a podcast.
Well,
I might be in jail going for my MBA.
I didn't have a drink for 16 years, and then started working with the alumni, and they went that.
There it is.
There it goes.
Oh, no, I got to do more games next year then.
Yeah.
Anytime,
Sure.
I'll be the linesman. You guys can referee.
Well, we got to do.
I'd rather be the linesman.
It's more fun actually, just tripping
It is.
the bench.
Yeah.
It is that. You're right.
You don't have to do
no
anything.
question.
And then you just blame the
question.
referee. I don't know. I can't even call my mother right now. I'm a linesman.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I think we should end on that.
Yeah.
I don't
you
think
go.
we need to do any questions or anything because I think
No.
you can't.
We kind of
top
blew
a-
right through the question.
You
Jesus
can't
Christ.
top a helicopter
No.
landing in the infield of Loudon.
No.
Like you just can't.
No.
Well,
you
I
know?
can, but we
Well,
don't
you
have
can,
time.
but and it's not that type of podcast. So, but yeah, no, Donnie,
was
it's
excellent.
been awesome.
Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for
we
being on.
appreciate you coming on. And we're definitely,
I'm
next
definitely
year,
in next year for a couple games or game or two.
and you know what we're gonna do next year too. When the alumni start up, we're gonna do a live podcast at one of the games.
Okay.
And then we'll ref the game. So
Okay.
we'll do the podcast either before or after.
Yep.
Right, and we'll ref the game either before or after.
And whatever
I think
charity that is, we'll raise some money for it,
and we'll
hopefully.
have, and we could. I mean, Frank. I love Frank. He's
Simonetti.
the best, Simonetti, and he kind of got me involved with the bowl with the brewing and that kind of
Yep.
thing, which we talked about. And so we can have them on. We can talk. I mean, I think it'd be awesome. I think that's got to be the plan.
Great.
for
We're
next-
gonna have
for
Kenny
next
Hodge
season.
on one time. He's one of my
Oh,
favorites.
Hodgie.
Hodgie's awesome.
Haji's great.
Oh, he's the best. And we're gonna have them all on. That'd be perfect. All right, well, that's gonna wrap it up for episode 16. 16.
Nifty 16.
Yeah.
Go to chirpingzebras.com. Go to the apparel. Email Mark. Let us know your sizes, what you want,
Yeah.
and we'll ship them out to you.
We finally kind of figured that out. It's a whole long story, but the hats, we got the quarter zips, we
So
got the sweatshirts.
I'm leaving. I'm leaving for the
t-shirts.
podcast. I kissed my daughter the one to go by, and she's like, "You need your Chirping Zebras hat. Where's your Chirping Zebras hat? Make sure you have your Chirping Zebras hat." Oh, don't worry, it's downstairs. I'm gonna put it on before I go out.
That's awesome.
She loves it.
That's awesome. But yeah, email merch at Chirping Zebras. It comes right to me, and I'll take care of it. Like and subscribe, as always, on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Thank our sponsor, the Referees Crease, and go check them out if you ever need a ref or
And
anything
hit up
like that.
And hit up an NHL alumni game.
Absolutely.
And yell and chirp the ref.
And chirp the ref, especially if it's this guy. And AOA Studios, want to thank them. And Cam, Mike, Josh, Z, we got a great crew up here. And we'll see you next week. We're scheduled. Next podcast, we're scheduled to have Stephanie Wood on, assistant coach at Merrimack and the director of the Islanders Hockey Club program, the Women's Islanders, and also the coach of Austin Prep, who went undefeated and won the state tournament a couple of years back. So we're very excited to have her on, unless something changes between now and then. But that'll do it. Like and subscribe. Follow us on all the social medias. For Gene, for Donnie, I'm Mark Riley. See you next time right here on the Chirping Zebras.